Homer, Glen, Illinois 60491, or email village@homerglenil.org. The deadline for submitting is Friday, July 17th. Then we'll go to the trustees, and we'll start off with Trustee Gray, who just became a grandma.
Thank you. Thank you. Just perfect, as you would imagine. Thank you, Mayor. I would like to thank the members of the CED Committee, the Community Economic Development Committee, for attending the workshop held on June 23rd on our village rebranding effort. The consultant presented the body of work to date and solicited a lot of positive and constructive feedback from the committee members and the other attendees. Also, just this afternoon, we attended the ribbon cutting for numerous new businesses. I believe there were 3 or 4. We had just this afternoon at Founders Crossing for the new businesses in the village. It's with pleasure that I say welcome to them and thank you for their commitment to Homer Glen. We are committed to making Homer Glen a place where businesses can thrive and serve our residents well. As the signs and the lawns around town say, now more than ever, shop and dine in Homer Glen. Please remember when you're making purchasing decisions to keep it local anytime you can. I'd also like to report that our Community Economic Development Committee meeting scheduled for next Tuesday, July 14th, has been canceled, and our regularly scheduled meeting after that is August 11th here at Village Hall at 7 p.m. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Trustee Gray. Trustee Echo?
Mayor, I have nothing at this time.
Trustee Rogers?
No report.
Trustee Solis?
Thank you, Mayor. Reporting for the Environment Committee. The Environment Committee continues to work on promoting July as a plastic-free month. The village website and Facebook pages will be updated on a weekly basis with facts, ideas, and information on recycling and being plastic-free. Our goal is to raise awareness of the growing plastic waste problem. Please join our contest during July and tell us what you are doing to reduce plastic waste and your favorite idea on solutions to this problem. Please send an email to mediarelations@homerglenil.org. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Trustee Solis. Trustee Gabriel?
Nothing to report, Mayor.
Trustee Gabriel. Trustee Pasmino?
Nothing to report, Mayor.
Pasmino. Village Clerk?
I have no report.
Village Attorney?
No report, Your Honor.
Public Safety Official?
No report, Your Honor.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Village Manager?
Mr. Mayor and the Board, I just wanted to let everyone know, since we are officially in phase 4 of the reopening of Illinois plan, we are no longer doing the Zoom meetings for the board meetings. So we'll still continue to do the videotaping. Obviously, if people want to submit questions and they still don't feel comfortable coming to a meeting, they can do that still. But we won't be having the ability for people to call in or via Zoom. So we're almost back to normal.
Thank you. Next will be public comment. There is a 3-minute limit. Please sign in prior to the start of the meeting. So, all right, Stephen Wood. Did you want to talk now, or you want to wait until the speaker comes up?
Yeah, I was going to ask you, would you rather wait till we do our item?
Yeah, just wait for this question to be answered. John, you sit down for the Keith Johnson, Crystal Johnson.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Keith Johnson, and my wife, Kyle, and I have been living in Old Oak South for 3 years now after purchasing our house from my parents. They lived in that house since 1992 when it was not Homer Glen, it was Homer Township. And they've always loved the peaceful neighborhood and the people that live there. I don't believe I can say much differently from the neighbors that have previously spoke about the issue of mugshots. But I do want to share my own personal thoughts and provide my own history to the neighborhood. For decades, the shopping center in question This specific location, actually within that shopping center, house nothing but places with daytime hours and far less come and go than a bar would bring. We welcome new business, that's never been an issue, but our concerns towards the impact of the bar at the location with close proximity are valid. 2020 has proven more than ever the importance of one's home and the area around it. All we want is to be able to have, be able to continue enjoying the homes and the yards that we raise our families in, as we always have. Please, think of this and us when deciding how the outdoor space for this bar will be used and the late hours they wish to operate right outside of our back doors. Thank you.
So I am speaking on behalf of my neighbor Kathy Curtis. Kathy cannot be here tonight. She had pre-existing commitments, but she did want me to go ahead and read her email that she sent to the mayor and the trustees as well, so I'll do that. After attending the last planning commission meeting on June 18th, where the owners got a chance to speak after the citizens spoke, there were some additional concerns regarding the front outdoor seating for mugshots. It appears this will block the sidewalk to foot traffic, which poses a safety hazard of concern. Also, pictures were shown on the presentation indicating a side west door would now be a main entrance, which was not previously indicated. Even though the residents of the seating is proposed for the front now, making the west door a main entrance brings back our very same concerns for the residents, heightened concerns in regard to foot traffic until 2:30 in the morning when this bar is set to be open till, and additional smoking, loud noise, music backing up to our residential neighborhood. At the June 18th meeting, it was suggested by a member of the Planning Commission that the west door be an emergency exit only. Really the only response to that was that it could be looked into. No matter the outcome of the outdoor seating, I would still request a sound barrier remain in place and signage to advise patrons to please be considerate as the bar backs up to a residential area. While I do appreciate the Planning Commission's recommendation on the reduction of hours, I still would contest the owner's claim that the outdoor seating would account for 65% of the business, given the number of tables that they could have, and given that we're in Illinois, which is possibly roughly 4 to 5 months out of the year for outdoor seating. In closing, we appreciate your consideration of our concerns as you place your vote. I would ask that you consider how you would like me to vote if this backed up to your backyard. And then I would also like to just add to my husband's statement briefly. In closing, I support what my husband has had to say, what we've been saying all along. We request that the board consider when making their final decision what was at the very least somewhat of a lapse in judgment in recommending this location to the owners, which they have stated did happen. Consider now the proximity of this bar and its outdoor seating proposal to our pre-existing neighborhood. If you still feel you need to approve an outdoor seating for business purposes, which I do understand, especially given our day and time of COVID, I would just ask that you carefully consider a reduction in hours, as the Planning Commission has proposed at the last meeting. I believe it was 9 a.m. Monday to Thursday, Friday, and Saturday 10 p.m. Sunday to Thursday. Follow the suggestion of the Planning Commission member that suggested restricting the west door entrance to an emergency exit only, because literally all you're doing is bringing that right back into our front yard if that's the main entrance. And also prohibiting the use of outdoor music and televisions. It's an outdoor noise nuisance. It's not necessary. I understand other restaurants with outdoor seating has it. None of them back up to a residential neighborhood. So please keep that in mind. And I just ask that you please hear our very serious concerns for our families, the peace of our neighborhood. And as Steve Wood said at the last village board meeting on May 27th, roughly about an hour and a half in, if it were a bar behind my house, I'd be concerned as well. So please consider. Thank you.
Thank you. Next would be Brian McNeil.
George, is it possible to go after the next speaker? Is it possible for that? To go after the speaker who's after me?
That's fine.
Thank you.
Melissa Prado.
Good evening. My name is Melissa Prado. I live at 14420 South Aaron Court. I addressed most of my concerns in an email to you all in late June, and thank each of you for considering my thoughts. I did want to express some additional concerns. I unfortunately do not feel that any of the plans provided by the bar owners at this time provide a safe and livable solution for our community. With a north-facing outdoor bar space, our neighborhood will undoubtedly have to deal with entrance and exit noise on the west end, as well as cigarette smoke that will be forced our way for smokers to maintain a safe distance from the bar entrance as well as the north-facing patio. With the west-facing patio, as originally suggested, we would have to deal with the lights and sounds of TV, music, patrons, well into the once quiet nights we had. I urge you all to truly consider what your peaceful Homer Glen evenings mean to you, how you feel in your outdoor spaces, and how you would feel if that was suddenly compromised. During this global pandemic, we as a community have all done our best to shelter in place. Our homes and our yards have become our safe spaces. I beg you to consider what permanently allowing a location for people to gather with music, TVs, and alcohol just a stone's throw from so many homes and yards would do not only to our quiet nights, but also to the safety of our private spaces. Many of my neighbors, and I included, have young children whose swing sets, pools, and yards would be on display for anyone who stopped for a cigarette on the west end of the building or who sat and drank alcohol on the tables provided. In the interest of safety for all of the long-term citizens of Homer Glen who reside directly behind this bar, I urge you to please deny the special use permit for outdoor seating. To please not allow any sort of main entrance or exit on the west end of the building. To require any kind of designated smoking area to be on the north end of the building and at the north end of the property. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Brian?
Hello, my name is Brian Julia. I've lived in Homer Glen for 30 years. I live at 12419 Mackinac Road. I'm here to talk to you about, again, a property that the village is selling at 15304 Bell Road. Because of transparency issues and not really getting responses from the village, I'm going to go over my outline of how this went down again.
You have 3 minutes.
Okay. April 2nd, I went to Homer Glen to get due diligence packets. The woman at the desk could find the packet. I left my phone number. Mr. Baber called me up April 16th, left the packet, met him in the parking lot, gave me the packet, reviewed the packet, gave the packet to my attorney, called Mr. Baber April 17th for a walk through the property. The property was in obviously disrepair, some drug use, needles, Not good for Homer Glen, in the middle of the Homer Glen, they have a property like this. Mr. Baber tells me to make an offer on the property. The mayor wants this property gone. It's an eyesore. It's bad for the Homer Glen brand. April 29th, I went through the property with Mr. Baber. April 29th, again, my lawyer reviewed the contract. April 30th, I did the potential of the property with comparables in Homer Glen. This is a 3/4 piece of commercial property down the line for Homer Glen. That's in their projections. The property is worth $150,000 to $200,000. This is what I do for a living. I buy properties from municipalities. The village, I submit my contract May 7th to the village and to their attorneys for $30,000. Talked to Mr. Baber numerous times pertaining to it. Somewhere 2 or 3 days before the first executive meeting, Bengtson Farms came in and made an offer of $5,000 higher. Mr. Baber and the mayor stopped giving me phone calls back. The mayor, when he did call me, he brought up the fact that this is sort of a screwed up, the whole mess is screwed up, it should be out for rebid. You go to an executive meeting, the mayor talks to me again, he says he couldn't convince the trustees to rebid the package, and that's all I asked for. I told the mayor at that time I'd offer $56,000 for the property. As far as I know, because no one returned my phone calls pertaining to it, Bengtson offers is $35,000. I submitted my contract to the village, the building department, and the village's legal department, basically. The village returned 2 of the contracts. I still don't understand that. The 3rd contract is still out there, and I never did receive the $5,000 earnest money check back. which is boggling to me, because I called up about it 10 times already. My lawyers have heard about it. Long story short, all I'm asking is a little bit of transparency on this, and if someone could explain to me why the village would sell a property for $35,000 when there's an offer on the table for $56,000. That's all I want to know. Even better than that, just rebid the property. That's all I'm asking. Put a sign on the property, mark it correctly. Don't put an ad that Homer Horizon, a little ad pertaining to a property with the potential of $150,000. That's all I'm asking. Thank you very much.
Next would be Pam Bengtson.
I'm Pam Bengtson. I wanted to set the record straight on a few things here. Bengtson Pumpkin Farm is not purchasing, it did not make an offer on this property. Dave and I are the owners of the land that surround that property. We bought the 45 acres in 2015. That parcel was not included. It was excluded due to a bunch of liens and everything else. It was a mess. We put in our offer with good integrity. I don't know what this gentleman is implying of what's going on. We've all bought property. Dave and I buy property in Iowa. When you submit an offer and it's been accepted, you don't get to come in with an outside bid again and decide to bid higher. We appreciate your consideration. We are completely open here. Dave and I came tonight. If you have any questions about this offer, I don't want our integrity on the table here. We're very honest people. We've been part of this community for over 100 years. Our family's been here. This has nothing to do with the Bengtson Pumpkin Farm. It does touch between the trail, but this is Dave and I. This is our purchase. I'm very uncomfortable up here, so I'm sorry, I'm a little nervous. The future of that land, we just wanted it to be one contiguous parcel. We take care of our land, we will clean up the land. We feel like we put in a fair offer. If this gentleman wanted a different offer, he should have put in that offer. Everybody would like to have a counter offer once an offer has been accepted. It doesn't work that way in real estate. So I ask you to please consider our offer that we have submitted with good integrity. And if you have questions, we're here to answer. We're not trying to hide anything. So thank you for your time. Sorry, I'm nervous.
Mitch and Tracy Sesson.
I'm Tracy Zephyr, my husband Mitchell. We live at 14408 South County Court, directly behind Mugshots as well. And we are concerned with the outdoor area that it would be used for a seating area. We have children as well. I have a teenage daughter who right now won't even go out to our swimming pool because of the men working on the roof. She's uncomfortable. She's a teenage girl. I can't force her out there. So if she's uncomfortable with workers there, what does that leave for drunken patrons at a bar? So when there are drunken patrons in the bar, what are they going to do with them? Kick them outside, right? Who's going to take care of them from there? Well, that leaves our property in turmoil. We've seen it when there was a bar at the other end of the strip mall as well. We've been here for 20 years. We've seen it, we've dealt with it. Yes, it was further away. They didn't have an outdoor patio, but the garbage that we get behind there is just, it's uncalled for. It's unreasonable. There's no reason for it. I mean, bringing an outdoor patio is unacceptable, I believe. We have, like Melissa and everybody else, we've all voiced our concerns. We're just in disagreement with it. So please consider if it was your home that was there. And yes, we bought the house behind a strip mall. That was a shopping center. A bar with a patio is not an option. There are none of the other bars in the area that have patios back up to residential areas. So please consider our wishes and if it was your property that this was happening to.
And to further elaborate on our daughter, we've already had cat calls, people whistling at the neighbors, the girls out there. So I just want to bring that to your attention as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are we? Okay, that's it for public comment. Next will be the consent agenda. All matters listed under the consent agenda are considered routine by the village board and will be enacted in one motion. Motion to approve the following items. The accounts payable for the period of June 26, 2020 through July 20th or July 9th, 2020, in the amount of $278,409.86. And the final pay estimate, number 11, from Austin Tyler Construction, Inc. for the Fittyman Creek Sanitary Sewer Project in the amount of $29,636.72. Is there any, I need a motion. So moved. Gabriel?
Second.
No. Is there discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Backo?
Aye.
Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Caprio?
Aye.
Trustee Paznino?
Aye.
Trustee Gray?
Aye.
Motion carries. Legislation and action items, number 1, is there a motion to approve ordinance number 20-025, an ordinance approving a special use permit for outdoor seating associated with a permitted restaurant with an exception to reduce required unobstructed adjacent sidewalk from 5 feet to 0 feet, as recorded in section 220835 of the Village of Homerun zoning ordinance. For Mugshots Bar and Grill, located at 13031 West 143rd Street, Glen, Illinois, in the C1 Neighborhood Commercial Zone District. Mugshots Outdoor Seating, case number HG-2003-S, subject to the following conditions. 1. The location of the outdoor seating area shall be limited to the area under the elbow along the front of the north side of the tenant space, as shown on attachment 4. 2. Provide one bollard in the middle of each opening between the columns of the building, elbow along the north edge of the outdoor seating area for a total of 4 bollards. Bollards shall meet the code regulations for vehicle impact protection. 3. Update the parking lot landscape island on west end of the proposed outdoor seating area to include ornamental grasses. Number 4, provide a 6-foot by 6-foot privacy fence panel along the south edge of the outdoor seating area. Provide a 6-foot by 6-foot privacy fence panel on the south side end of the building. Number 5, provide one planter on the south side of the property fence along the south edge of the outdoor seating area. 6, provide 3 shrubs on the south end of the building alcove. 7, closing hours of operation for only the outdoor seating area will be restricted to 9 p.m. on weekdays from Sunday through Thursday and 10 p.m. on Friday and Saturdays. So moved. Trustee Gray.
I'll second.
Trustee Caprio. Discussion?
Mayor, I'd like to start with a comment, just to clarify something with Director Gotti, and then I'll reserve my comments for a little bit later. But Director Gotti, Mugshots is coming in under a restaurant, where it would have to be 50% food minimum, correct?
Yeah, as an accessory to a permitted restaurant. That's correct.
Okay, so them coming in just as a restaurant, they would not need to come to the village board for special use, is that correct? Okay, so I just want the residents to know that they would have been, they're allowed to come in as a restaurant type of bar and grill without coming to the board for any variances. Okay, that's what I just wanted to make sure everybody's aware of that.
I'll wait.
Any other comments?
On the petition.
All right.
I would go back to, I went back to the March 11th tape that we had the workshop on the outside seating, and everyone that was on that board said, first there was, well, no, we don't have any that back up to residential, and then VJ said, well, actually, there is one coming up that backs up to residential. And the consensus of this board was like, well, we're not going to do that to pre-existing places. We're not going to put outdoor seating to pre-existing places. I watched the tape, and I know that Rock wasn't here at that time. Carlo, you weren't on the board at that time either. But that was the discussion. But that being said, I'll say, you know, the petitioners has worked with staff and taken into consideration moving it into the front of the building as opposed to the west end, and I appreciate that. I would definitely would never. I would only my vote for would have to be contingent on the planning committee's recommendation for the reduced hours from 9 to 10, and the west door. It has become a big issue after the planning commission meeting. A lot of people are concerned that that's going to be the main entrance, and I would agree with the planning commission that that should be an emergency exit only. Relative to outdoor music and the sound, you know, I think what I would like to see, and I know we've talked a little bit about it, is I would say if this is approved tonight with these contingencies, that this is looked at in 6 months from now to see how did this work, or did this work, or did we have any issues? And then if it did at that time, then we can go back and reevaluate it and potentially pull it. Because, you know, to put on staff to, there's a lot here that they're going to have to keep up with. Well, we've got to make sure the music's not too loud. We've got to make sure they're not using that listen. That's a lot, you know, and we don't want to put it on the neighbors who have to be the village, you know, spies, I guess, for lack of a better word. So I would be comfortable with doing this, trying this, I would say, with the reduced hours, and that west side being an emergency only. And I am concerned that this might not be enough privacy fencing. So once those hedges are up, if it appears by, you know, staff and Joe that, you know what, these aren't enough, because we see bushes, like we don't know how tall they're going to be, we don't know how much privacy that's going to actually be. If more is required, that we be able to go back and have the petitioner add more. I'm not looking for 12, but I don't know, when you say 3, I don't know what that's going to look like, because we're not saying exactly the size and the dynamics of it. So I would like for that to be looked at too once those are put in, and those, you know, to be installed before they're allowed to open.
I would like to agree with Trustee Rogers with all of our contingencies.
I just want to say that I do agree with the residents in the sense that you don't necessarily know what it's going to be. As far as the people on the roof and doing their thing, you know, that's part of the landlord's responsibility. You can't blame mugshots for that. You know, that's not their contractors doing that work, at least I don't believe. Respectfully, we can't police smoking in every community, on every side street, on every parking lot. Drinking of alcohol, I mean, that's going to be a part of what the ownership of mugshots will have to do. You know, our code compliance isn't working on Saturday at 11 o'clock at night, or 10 o'clock at night, or 9 o'clock at night. So I don't want the perception to be that we can police this 24/7, because we can't. And I want that perception to be known right out of the gate. Again, we can't stop a business from opening in Homer Glen if they're not requesting these variances. And the variance, I think they've met several requirements, and I totally agree with Trustee Rogers and her perception of how we should go and tackle the 7 items that are part of this. And I thank you guys for coming a long way and meeting every requirement we put in front of you. And yeah, I think we give it a shot. And that was my mindset. You know, we have to see where it goes. Outdoor seating is a thing of now because of COVID-19. eventually in the future, I don't know what that brings, especially when you're impeding on sidewalk or drive. So I think, it's a trial piece, and I'd be remiss if we couldn't give it an opportunity just to see, especially with all the accommodations that have been made.
I have a few comments. Director Gotti, what would be needed to pull a special use permit? What would we need to do? Like say if this gets voted on with, I have some other ideas that I want to add to the motion too.
So you can include some relocation clauses, and I guess the attorney can include that one.
Go ahead and finish it now.
What do you meant? If you have to meet certain conditions, like the ones that were brought up tonight, if they don't maintain the hours, or use the west door improperly, or use outdoor music, any of those, if they don't comply with it, you can give like a warning.
Pull the whole thing.
Maybe condition a warning, and then maybe give certain time before they use it, especially. So that could be worked into the ordinance.
Okay. Yeah, I do agree with Trustee Rogers. I said that west entrance has to be exit only. Emergency exit only. Yes, emergency exit only. Because what's going to happen in that area on the west side has to be a designated non-smoking, because what is everybody going to do? They're going to go out the door, go around, not stand by the outdoor seating and smoke and, cigars, cigarettes, and who knows what else. So that has to be included in this motion in one of these conditions here. Also, I am not sure that we should allow outdoor TV and music right now. I really don't know, because even if it's cut off at 10 o'clock at night, you can mute. Noise travels far at night. So I would recommend not having that for now and see what happens. That was part of my recommendation. To put that in there.
Is not to have the TV and the music.
In music.
Sharon, you have anything else?
No, not at the moment.
Mayor, I'd like to comment if I could. First, I'd like to thank Trustee Sweets for making the point about that we really can't preclude this business from opening as a business, as a restaurant with a bar amenity that they have. They have a right by zoning to open there. The only issue here is the outdoor seating. And I think that the developer, as well as staff and the village board, has gone to great lengths to move it from the west side over to the north side to try to mitigate as much as possible the sound and the impact on the residents. This is a challenging piece, there's no doubt, because of the proximity of the residents to the commercial area. And to be honest with you, when I saw some of the pictures that are in here that show the pool, that show the commercial strip, I'm very surprised that some of those homes don't necessarily have some screening already in their yards that are helping to screen some of that. Now, Mugshots, I think, like any establishment, they're putting a lot of money into this, they're putting a lot of effort, they're putting a lot of commitment into the village. They're not doing that to make something that's going to be conceived or perceived as something that's less than par. So it's in their best interest to make everybody happy, their patrons, the residents, their landlord. But also I think that their landlord has a huge amount of responsibility here. He really needs to come, he or she, whatever the case is, needs to come in and help to mitigate between these homeowners and his vendor, his leasees, and help along that edge of those homes to try to mitigate some of those sight lines, the transmission of sound, as well as smoke, things like that. I mean, I do have a neighbor who smokes on the garage right next to my house, so I smell it on my patio occasionally. I understand what these people are saying. Proximity of that man's garage to my patio is far closer than the outdoor seating of Mugshots to the houses behind the building. And the commercial building's 100 feet deep probably. So I understand your sensitivities, don't get me wrong, but we have to find a way for them to coexist here. Even without the outdoor seating, patrons would still migrate outside to smoke. So trying to, I get what Trustee Sweets is asking for, is designated no smoking on the west alcove. I think that's a great idea. And I believe one of the residents had asked for some signage along that west alcove for the patrons to be considerate, you know, that we have neighbors right here. And I think that's a great idea. And I think those along with the Mugshots developer asking, or acquiescing and saying that they'll put some screening down at the south end of the west side that will help to mitigate some of that. I think all of those are going to get us to the point where this is going to be a good proposition. As far as Trustee Rogers, what you were saying about, you know, is there possible revocation clauses or, you know, working something in there? I mean, we do have noise ordinances, so if you go over a certain noise ordinance, unfortunately that does put the onus on the neighbors to call the police so that those things can be registered, so that staff can have a paper trail of that. But again, that would be, you know, pitting them against each other, and that's not the best scenario. So while I would agree with maybe not broadcasting any interior music outside, at least not beyond a certain decibel level, you know, I know that Mugshots has said they were going to have live performances, and you'd obviously want to have your outdoor patrons enjoying those live performances as well. So maybe at a certain decibel level on the outside. As far as televisions go, I mean, Pelican Harry's has many televisions outside. I'm not sure about the other bars and grills. I see them all the time. I've been over there. I don't necessarily hear the televisions, but you know, if you've been in a sports bar, it's kind of hard to follow all of them anyhow. Generally, people are looking at them just trying to keep track of a score or the play, but not necessarily the play-by-play. They're not in it for the sound. So I don't necessarily think the televisions are a problem, but I could see that, you know, broadcasting live performances at the actual decibel level as the inside could be a problem, and I definitely think we should. But again, that would be addressed under our noise ordinances, but you know, maybe we can set a level on that. I do like the idea of additional screening, but I think that that's kind of outside of their envelope, really, of what they're developing. Suddenly, once you get off on that alcove, basically, it's the landlords. You know, I mean, the landlord's responsible for the garbage problems people are having, as well as maybe some of the delivery trucks and things like that. And I really think that, you know, Mugshots right now, the developer, is probably in a good position right now to try to get your landlord to kind of take on some of these responsibilities and start to be a better neighbor than they have been. So that's all I have for now. Mayor, thank you.
Keith, I agree with the TVs. I do agree with the TVs, yeah. Because usually they're just on to look at, so you're sitting out there looking at scores and things like that. They're not really playing. My concern is, you know, they keep bringing up these live bands and that does concern me. And I don't know, again, it's just going to turn into the neighbors having to be the tattletales.
Right.
I too agree with the televisions.
So it would be no music, just TVs.
Most of the TVs are on, they're on, there's no sounds.
Most of the patrons that are out there watching a ball game, football game, a hockey game, they are going to cheer when a goal is scored, when a home run is hit, but for the most part, all they're really out there is watching the game itself. They're not listening to the broadcast. The broadcast at most of these places is muted.
Yeah, I agree with Trustee Gray. You know, with certain contingencies, so forth. We also don't want to set them up to fail. You know, I think, you know, a little bit of background music, because I don't know if you've ever eaten sitting down in silence. Sounds like you're punished. So I mean, I think with proper supervision from the owners. I mean, I put myself in that position way back in the day. You know, I had a bar. I bought it from a bar that had a really bad reputation, and I was sitting in front of the dais, and I had a commitment. I had held my commitment. I made sure that the customers weren't rowdy, they weren't doing what they weren't supposed to be doing, and 8 years later, I'm still here. So, you know, we all have to coexist. And I think if these guys do it right, we should give them a chance, and once again, a contingency would be good, but let's make it practical so that they can survive.
I could very briefly, Trustee Squeeze, you had a question and a follow-up on Mr. Gotti's comments. There is a process in the code right now to revoke a special use permit if they're not in compliance. In addition, there are fines that can be assessed and other measures that can be taken. So there are protections in place if they don't follow these conditions.
And one comment for Crystal Johnson when she spoke for Kathy C. She had mentioned that cars are going to be coming in there and parking Well, they're gonna do that whether they're inside or out. So you're gonna have some cars around it. It is a mall, it's a strip. So you're gonna have people coming in and out. I agree with what pretty much everyone said right now. We just gotta make sure that we make a commitment to the people that live around there that it will be watched. They will be on the hook if it gets out of hand. And like everyone has said before, these guys putting all this money into it, and everyone's just gonna say, got done saying, we don't want to set them up for failure. We know that they're going to do what they have to do, but I also agree that in a few months we should take a look into it, just make sure everything is good, and see how everyone's feeling at that time.
Mayor, can we hear from the developer to see if he has anything to add to this, unless anybody else has anything? I'm sorry.
Are we putting a date on this? I think, what did you call it, a sunset? Is there a date that we're going to come back and look at this exam?
I'd like to do it at the end of the season, when figure
So
November it closes out.
Like November?
Yeah.
So we'll put this to come back in November?
At the end of November.
We'll come back at the end of November. And then at that time, we'll have time to get residents' feedback, the sheriff's feedback, staff's feedback, and see if there's anything that may be missed.
Is the developer here tonight?
Yes.
You want to come up to the podium, please? Just so you guys understand what we're trying to do. We want to make it good for you. We want to make it good for the residents that have been there. No one knows what's going to go in any kind of a building that's put in your area. This one decided that, it was Village Hall years ago. But then after that, it was pretty much vacant for 10 years, 11, 12 years. So the restrictions that the planning commission had talked about and what trustee Rogers had talked about, and pretty much everyone up here right now, we just got to make sure it's right. It's a win-win for everybody. It's a win-win for you guys, win-win for the residents. So, and you have the right to be able to do it. The only thing that is stopping the overhead is having the variance for outside. We took it away from the side of the building, we went up to the front, so this way at least we know that it should cut off some noise. Cigarette smoking, I don't know. I'm not, I quit smoking 34 years ago, so I do understand what people are saying when they talk about the cigarettes. But you've also got a vinyl cigar right up there, so I don't know how many times those guys come out and smoke. But right now I think that we're all on the learning curve here. So I would like to see if this all gets followed up. And I'm sure the trustees will be in and out of there, and I'm sure the residents are going to be looking just to make sure. And hopefully this thing works.
I hope so too. Again, like I said at the last meeting, the neighbors, we welcome the neighbors. We want to be a neighborhood bar. We want to get along with our neighbors. If there's any issues at all, they could call the bar, they could contact Steve or myself, and we'll do our best to address any issues that they see. Regarding the cat calls, those are not our contractors. We would not allow that to happen with our contractors. After the last meeting, we had a conversation with everybody that works for us to make sure that they're cordial and peaceful in the neighborhood while they're doing their work. So I guess on behalf of our landlord, I apologize to the neighbors for that issue. But again, Steve and I have put in a lot of money into this bar. We were brought out by the village, and we appreciate it. We think it's a wonderful area, great area. We put in upgrades in the building. At a cost of $19,500 just to upgrade the water pressure coming in. Hopefully by doing that, a lot of the vacant spots will now be filled with other stores, storefronts, and that's just a win-win for the township and the community. So besides that, again, everybody talked about COVID. That was one of our big issues. We want to make sure that we try to get an outdoor seating in the event that COVID should come on the rise again, and we need to shut down internal seating, we want to be able to still operate. Otherwise, we're going to end up shut down and lose a lot of money. But again, we want to thank the neighbors. We listen to the concerns and take it to heart.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make sure, are you adding the new condition to the west door shall be used for emergency exit only?
I'm going to ask for a revision to my motion. Did the developers have anything else to add?
Oh, we wrote up the whole story. We read some of this before, just about how we got to this point. It is a big commitment for us. We're putting a lot into this. We didn't have to do this. We could have finished the jobs we're at and retired in a few years. Instead, we decided to take our savings and actually go after our dreams. And that was brought to us, this location, and we thought it was a good location. The patio was part of that from the very beginning. It always has been. We moved it to the side by the direction of the village. We moved it back to the front based on the feedback and help of the village. We come up with other things outside to try to make it look nicer. The patio is a big part of it. It does add. There's studies that show that it increases profits. And right now, for a unit that size, we need quite a few customers to make it profitable. Those things are all important. As far as the TVs and speakers you talked about, we have talked about it. We do have an AV guy who's here today. Speakers would point towards the north, and they're on their own volume control. We can keep control, and it would be more just a background music type thing. It's not intended to be band music or anything else. It was never intended to be that. Just something for something when the weather's nicer to sit out there and have a meal, maybe watch the game when it's on. Most of the games are not on late at night. I mean, football games are during the day, baseball games sometimes 7 to 10. So yeah, we're just looking for the approval going through.
Well, right now, there's no sports going on.
True.
Unless they want to watch replays. All right, is there any other questions?
Mayor, I'd like to make a revision to my motion, if I may. I'd like to include the points that the west side access be emergency only, that the west side alcove be marked as no smoking, that the west side alcove will have at least 2 signs asking for patrons to be considerate of their neighbors, and that the outdoor audio be set at an acceptable level, whether that be something like 1/3 of indoor, 1/4 of indoor. Do we want to leave that to staff?
I would say that they should use their best judgment, and then if we hear from the neighbors, we'll try to work something out. I mean, they know the concerns of the neighbors, so it's hard to, I don't know.
Joe, is that enough for you?
I'm sure we can make work somehow.
Thank you.
Trustee Gray, I would say just right now for TVs, music will be out there later too.
I'm saying outdoor audio.
Outdoor audio?
So audio in general, just so that it's a Hawks game or a live band inside, that it be at an acceptable level on the exterior of the building.
All right. And then the residents can come to us, because if there's a lot of complaints from the residents, this special use can be pulled. So you won't even then have an outdoor. So you have to be very considerate of your TV and your music.
And also, somebody brought up vice versa, the neighbors have to be considerate as well, they're out there blaring the music and people are trying to eat, there's a noise ordinance that's against them as well, so it goes both ways at some point. Everybody just work together to try to
Be respectful.
Yep. I can second that motion.
One thing I'd like to know, did the fire department come in and give us our approval for just being an exit door for the west side?
We'll work that out.
All right, so just get, all right.
Can we discuss that a little further? We have 2 doors on the west side. And we right now plan to use the back door for employees. It's on the west side, and if we have a party room back there, that would be an entrance for them to bring in presents and things for birthday parties. We'd like to keep that. A majority of the parking lot, probably 90% of the spots that are available for us, are all on the front side, so people will be coming in the front door anyway. We don't expect people going in and out that west side other than employees and maybe a couple of cars that are there. We just like to ask that it's not restricted to that, and we can try to control the traffic going in and out.
Yeah, there's a lot of parking on that west side, so it's good. It's not going to be just it's quite a bit of parking on the west side, and that we're going back to the same problem when having outdoor seating on the west side, if you're having party people coming in and out.
Parties generally are not late night parties, it's a birthday party for somebody or something like that. It's a small one.
So can we designate it on the inside, not an exit?
I'm sorry?
Can we designate it on the inside of the establishment?
How would you control that?
How we gonna control it if this is a parking lot or smoking or parking lot? And there's 9, it looks like 9 spots
I
outside.
think that's gonna be something that you're battling all the time, then if you open up that door. Ooh, this is a good one.
Well, you also have the patio's gonna be out front.
Do you have 2 doors on the west side?
2 doors on the west side.
So you're talking about you have 2 on the front on the north. Why do I not see the second door on the west side on this revised plan?
Yeah, there's 2 openings if you look at.
I see an opening, but I don't see a door.
Page 12.
I don't see, there's no door there, it just says west entrance, and then on the bottom, south, there it shows the door.
So you want to use the southwest entrance for employee and catering, or party door?
And that's closest to the residents, so that is right there.
That's just for the party room or the resident, or for the employees.
Right.
So presumably if it's a party room.
Who's gonna go in there and how do we say it's an employer? Are they gonna have keys?
Our employees will have keys.
So that's gonna always be locked? Yeah, so anybody can use it.
Did you say it's always going to be locked or
No,
unlocked?
you were saying that anybody can use it. I mean, they can say, oh, well, it's for the employees or for the party room, but anybody can use it.
Well, why can't we signage it with employee and private room entry only?
Actually, if we use that for employees only in the private room, most of that parking by the residents would be taken by our employees. So any late night patrons would be parked to the north.
Yeah, you've got 9 spots, I think, on that side.
Yeah, I'm not comfortable with it, because that was a big concern with the residents, was those west entrances, so.
Right, I was not necessarily thinking of that door. I was thinking of the northwest entrance, which is the one that's up, if I remember correctly, it's almost parallel with the end of the bar. Is that correct?
Yes,
That's the one I'd like to see as being an emergency exit only.
and then there's one that's even farther south towards the residents.
Right. And that one I think is probably going to have minimal use only because you're going to have less people parking back there. Like the gentleman said, it's either going to be employees parking back there or people who are just here for that party room. Most of your parking is going to be up to the north where the rest of the parking lot is.
It doesn't open up into the party room.
Can I ask a real question here? You can label it whatever you want. It can say emergency exit, it can say entrance, it can say whatever you want. People are going to use
How many times have you walked into a door that says emergency exit?
many. You
I've
go to any
never-
private banquet hall,
I've never-
they will let you in.
Yeah, I've never.
It's happened to me often.
I should put the buzzer on it that way.
If you have a buzzing door, yeah, a deterrent
I'm
for
not
that.
asking for that. I'm just asking for it to be emergency exit only. You know, I agree with that.
No, I'm okay with it, I'm just being realistic.
So you want both doors on the west side to be emergency exit only?
Right.
Which door do you use to take the garbage?
There's a back door.
Back kitchen door.
The furthest one.
All the way around.
Furthest up.
All the way around the other side of the building.
Oh.
It's in the air.
Oh, wait.
What is this thing in the middle of your establishment with the kind of a canted wall? It's not here. It's actually on the left side of this thing that's on the screen.
The box? The little square in the middle?
This right here, what is that?
It's our gaming area. It's actually moved a little towards the wall, but that's where we're gonna have the video games.
Well, when we say, if we say it's locked all the time, I say this, tongue in cheek, per owner discretion, if there's a party coming in and they gotta let people just bring gifts in, they can unlock it, they can relock it. If it's employees only, they may have a key, may not have a key, they can unlock it and relock it. I don't know, I'm being realistic here, what's the difference? I mean, people enter in many doors of many different establishments at many different times of day, I think, that otherwise are, goes undetected.
Well, that's the nice thing about the buzzer thing is that once, it has that big red handle on it, because it's less prone for a customer to push through.
To use it frequently.
Right. And then you have control over it because you can activate, deactivate. And it just, you don't want to be too restrictive on it.
No, I agree. I think that's what I'm trying to come to a happy medium.
All right, so where do we stand?
Well, we don't have a resolution on how we're classifying those two doors.
Because you have the gate room right there, you leave that door closest to the residence open, you know darn well people will be in the game room and then their slot machines or whatever the game room is there and going out right there to smoke.
Agreed. I agree. But what I'm saying is you lock that door full time, only on special occasions allowed.
It's gotta be emergency exit though, so that if
Right.
there's a fire to get out. It's gotta just like this, like a push bar where it goes out, the alarm goes
That's
up.
what he is.
And it locks behind you.
And I can attest that that's a deterrent because I never had issues with people exiting that door.
Can you override that at your discretion?
So you have a key over it.
So can we vote on it now, or?
Well,
How does that feel?
I need clarification of what the new motion is.
Yeah.
I think you just read it.
Well, I had asked for the west side entrance access to be emergency only.
Okay.
There's two.
We need access to one of those doors.
Can you move that door and have it open up into the party room?
No.
We'd have to extend the party room, those walls are already built. It's right next to the party room, literally right next to it.
Can you build a wall interior that moves people straight from that southwest door only to the party room?
I wouldn't want to do that because that would obstruct our view to see if there's anything happening in that party room. And we want to.
Well, it doesn't have to be a full wall, as long as it doesn't allow people to come out of the video gaming corral and go out that door. Then that door can stay 24/7 access if you wanted and still access the party room.
We actually do have a wall coming off where the video gaming is. We have a 9-foot long wall. It's 42 inches high.
Is it not shown on this plan?
No, it's not.
Can you come up to one of the monitors and just show us where it would be?
Not that. It's not going to help you much.
You have to do it on the side.
Do you have a different view, a different picture, Matt, you can put up?
So it's west.
Can you get with the left?
You gotta do it the small picture there.
Okay, so right here, this gaming actually moves along this wall. Right
It's
here.
along the outside wall then?
Along this outside wall. So right here by this door, there's a 9-foot long wall coming this way. And then out approximately 3-4 feet
It's
this way.
5.
So all of this gaming in here is enclosed in the
It's
wall.
enclosed in an L shape.
So why didn't we see all this when you came before you came here?
There's recommendation
Today?
from the,
We put that gaming,
Yeah,
won't come in there.
So they moved your gaming corral all the way to the west wall.
they recommended it because of the COVID, that we have to get separation and put plexiglass between them. So they recommended we put them parallel instead of around in a square.
So again, you see what we're trying to drive to here is to kind of sequester that southwest door so that it really only feeds the party and your employees, obviously, but they're going to be one-offs here and there throughout the day, but it's really that party room. We want to try to say you can keep that open and closed, but bar patrons or gaming patrons wouldn't necessarily go in and out that door all day long. Then we could make the northwest entrance access point emergency only, so people wouldn't be going out there. I mean, obviously, we want to try to drive people as much as we can toward the front of your establishment, but except for the party room patrons, because obviously they're coming there for a separate reason.
And there's really not much back there. I mean, most of everything that's going on is forward now.
But we don't want anybody forward of that door to think that they can access that door. So without knowing what your revised plans are right now, where you moved the gaming corral, it's kind of hard for us to.
It's essentially the same, it's just that big square in the middle is now gone, and it's sort of along the wall. The closet and everything else is there, the kitchen is the same, the party room's the same, bathrooms are the same, everything else is the same.
So if I were sitting at the bar or in a gaming corral, would it be logical to me that there's an exit that close to me that I can easily access and get in and out?
If you're sitting at the first game there, you'd see that door, but you'd have to walk all the way around the wall, the 5-foot wall and the 9-foot wall to go around to it. You'd have to pretty much go out of your way to go there. But you could, yeah, you're right, they could, but why would they go there unless they were parked right there? Because, like I said, most of the parking is up to the north side, why not walk to the front and go out where it's close to your car?
Well, I'm still okay with making just the northwest door the emergency exit door, keeping the southwest door as a regular access door. I really would like to see the revised plans, though, to see that this is, again, I don't want to pinch off that door, but I want to make it as inaccessible as possible to your regular patrons. I think that's what we're all driving for. But I don't want to make both of those emergency exits because I think that's too much. I just think that's, the bulk of your impact and concentration is going to be up on the front outdoor seating area and the bar and the seating area that's around the bar. So people are naturally going to gravitate toward, your windows are going to be see-through, right, on the front, on the north side? They're not going to be blacked out or anything? Your front windows that will be looking out on your outdoor dining, you'll be able to see through those windows. So, logically, you're going to see through the windows. You're going to naturally gravitate toward that, I think, to exit. The place you came in is where you're going to go back out. So I still am okay with that.
The windows along the west are blacked out.
So for clarification for the clerk, when I said I'd like the west side access to be emergency only, I would like to further clarify that to say the northwest door be emergency access only. The southwest door, I'm okay with the way it is if the gaming corral is moved and it's kind of making it non-logical that that's an exit there for just regular patrons.
That's a motion, I would rather.
Well, I can't, without seeing a plan, right?
That's what I'm saying, so you're kind of, I'm not going to support, and support an opening there at this point. Once it's open and you see it, you go, oh, yeah, you're right, nobody's going to go in here. I could revisit it. But at this point, I wouldn't support it because that is the major concern of the residents. That's right, and Trustee Gray, what you just said, the door closest to the residents, you're going to leave it as a regular door.
Well, we're leaving it as a regular door for the party room, is what I'm trying to get at.
Well, people inside are.
Party room, but let's face it, we all know these places with party rooms, they're not used every day of the week, 24/7. They are just an add-on to the rest of the place.
People will use that door to go out to smoke and then come back in, whether they're in the
That's
party
what I'm asking
room
for,
or
that it
somewhere
not
else.
be a logical exit for those people without being an emergency exit only so that you can allow access. I mean, if we could move that into the party room, that would be.
Well, didn't we designate the west side of the building as a non-smoking?
We did.
Okay, so that.
Well, that was part of my revised motion was no smoking on the west alcove, as well as the signs.
I mean, I see what you guys are doing with it, fine with the game room the way it is, but agree that it's, I'm fine with the northwest door being an emergency exit.
I guess I do have a question that, as Trustee Sweets had pointed out before, if they weren't asking for this outdoor seating, we wouldn't be here, they would be able to use that door for access, correct?
Correct.
I'm just want to make sure that we're all on the same page.
So this gives us the opportunity to try to put in a few more provisions for lessening the impact, as much as we can.
I do have the updated drawing if you want to see what it looks like.
Yeah, that'd be great. Why don't you start on that side? Yeah. Don't touch anybody's phone.
We're gonna ask him to, we're gonna ask you to answer.
And give a description of the map.
Okay. And which doors are there?
That's this here. Okay. Okay.
I'm going to have Keith read the motion again, just so for clarification and good times.
So Mayor, even after seeing the revised drawings, I still would like to revise my motion, and I would like to say that the northwest side access door be designated as emergency only. The west side alcove is marked as non-smoking. The west side alcove is to have at least 2 signs asking for patrons to be considerate of their neighbors, and the outdoor audio is to be set at an acceptable level.
Did you include the door there? I didn't hear you say the door, the south door.
I did not, because I don't have any.
Oh, you're
You
not?
just mentioned the northwest door.
So the southwest will be.
The southwest will be open anytime, that's what I'm asking.
That's the
So
way I'd
people,
like to.
so I get this right. So people that are coming into the restaurant, they could come in through that door regardless.
That is correct, but I can't imagine too many people wanting to do that after parking to the north of the place and going to the absolute other end of it. I get that it looks like it's an access point. Don't get me wrong, folks, I do get that. But we all go to stores, we all go to restaurants, we all go to places, and we do not park in one place and go to the absolute opposite end and pass by 2 or 3 other different access points. I believe that that access point will only be for the party room. It could turn into an access point for the gaming, I get that, but the gaming portion of it, when you think about it, it only seats 6 now? 6. Right? Are we up to 6 games?
Yeah.
You can only have 6 gaming positions in a gaming corral per state law. They can't increase that. They can't have any more people sitting there. So at the most, you'd have 6 patrons going in and out of that door for the gaming. Furthermore, we're designating the West Alcove as no smoking. So again, I can't understand, I mean, if you were in a place once and you walked out the door and you said, oh, I want to have a smoke, but I can't smoke here, I got to walk all the way over there. Next time I come in, I'm going to go that way because they remember those things. So I think this is the best, I think this is a good solution for this. So, short of putting that door in the party room, but if that's not a non-starter, because the building has already been built, to our attorney's point, these are things we're enjoying having a chance to change right now because of the fact that these gentlemen have had to come before us for their outdoor seating. If they had not come here, any and all of those doors would be access points without restriction, without any kind of, we would not have had the opportunity to put non-smoking signs on the West Alcove, be considerate signs, ask them for additional screening bushes at the other end, all of those things. So all of those things, because of the outdoor seating, are now being addressed and being included in this because of the fact that they had to come before us and ask for special use. If they had not had to do that, if they just opened up, like any regular restaurant without outdoor seating, any of that alcove could have been accessed by anybody. So I think this is a good solution. It's never going to be perfect, but I think this gets us as close as we can.
I'll second that motion.
Are there any other questions, concerns, discussions? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Gray.
Aye.
Trustee Backlund.
Aye.
Trustee Rogers.
Aye.
Trustee Suisse.
Aye.
Trustee Caprio.
Aye.
Trustee Pazmino.
Aye.
Mayor Yukich.
Aye.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. And remember, once this thing is set, November will be, check it out just to make sure that we're on point and what we need to do. Yes.
And I just want to address the residents, please let the village know if any of these are not being followed, any of the conditions on the motion.
Okay. Okay. Is there a motion to approve number 2026, approving 1, a plat subdivision of preliminary site improvement plans, 2, a map amendment from A2 rural residential to R3-A single family residential district with the following variances for the proposed Windsor Gorge Phase 2 subdivision located at 12513 West Hadley Road, Homer, Glen, Illinois, with variances of A, reduce the required front corner setback from 40 to 30, B, reduce the minimum required lot width from 100 to 76.5, and C, reduce the minimum requirement lot frontage from 90 feet to 76.5. Trustee Caprio?
Second.
Trustee Pazmino? I'll go back to what I said when this first came before us, is we thought, we wanted at least 2 streets in there so you have both, the fire department can get in and get out. You have a road put in for an emergency situation, but now you're making the lots much smaller than what they were before. There's one more house in there now than I think there was than before. Right now, I don't know if that's you've got the 6, and then you've got 2 more in that box, and I'm not quite sure what those are. You're still dead end at the end of Windsor Court. And the other one is just a service road. Houses are much smaller. Lots are much smaller. I don't know. I look at it from my point of view. If I was in this area, I wouldn't want to take a chance with the road that we have coming in that dead ends. So it's up to you guys.
I also have difficulty with the single in, single out, in hopes that Windsor Court would extend at some point to further to the west as that, if there were development there, if that was possible. I'm a little confused by lot 7 still.
I'd like to just say something first, if I could, Sean O'Malley, the applicant. First of all, the lots are exactly the same size as they were last time. We took it from 11 lots to 7 lots. The lots still meet the minimum square footage requirement for the zoning. We were just asking that the frontage be reduced, not the square footage of the lot for the zoning. These are the same 6 lots that were approved prior when we had 11 lots. The issue was the fire department, or the issue was the county will not allow Brentwood to extend across Hadley Road due to the fact that 2 entrances on the Hadley Road will not be allowed in that proximity to each other. Lot 7 is just going to be one big estate lot. We're also allowing a tornado siren to be placed up there in the detention area. I think it's gonna look a hell of a lot better than the old abandoned crappy house that's there that needs to be demolished. There's gonna be nice retention, an estate lot, and then 6 lots in the back. Compared to what's there now, and, you know, we weren't allowed to take Brentwood across, so we do have a letter from the county highway department that BJ has that allows the access into one single family residential home there for lot 7 accessing Hadley. We met with the fire chief, came to the agreement, and this way they would have emergency access to there if need be. So that being said, you know, the lots in the back did not change. We did not make them any smaller than they were on the approved subdivision for 11 lots. They're exactly the same.
The fire department doesn't have an issue with it, right?
This is what, we have the approval from them.
Yeah.
We met with them, because they're the ones that, you know, we had to work out the access.
Right.
Yes. And now the residents on Windsor Court are not backing up to other homes. They're not backing up to a road. It's just an emergency access for the fire department. So for all those residents, I think it's a much better situation for them. I mean, we lost 4 lots, but I think, you know, originally with our original plan, everyone from Windsor Court came, and this time with the Plan Commission and hearing none of the residents came to object.
Can I just ask a quick question? So lot 7, and forgive me if I'm ignorant of this question, is that subdividable in the future, or we change the zoning of it? It could be changed, not we.
Yeah.
And is it subdividable in the future?
Probably not, but the only way to do it is a flag lot, which we didn't have allowed. So probably not.
Probably not.
And the highway department's not going to allow dual access either.
Okay.
I have a question for you on lot 7 as well. What is that second structure shown there? That looks like, is it to the south, I think?
It was just the concept of a house and a pole barn.
I don't need to have a pole barn there, if that's an objection.
So
I mean,
it's not another house. You're saying it's a house to the north and a pole barn to the south. So it's just 2 structures on the same property.
And
but not 2
it's
houses.
just conceptual.
Not
Not
two
proposed at all. It's just
And
to
it is
show what it would look like and how big that lot is compared to.
And the front lot is a 4-acre parcel.
Right. Yeah, as long as it's just an accessory building.
And we're not even, I mean, I'm not even asking for that. It's just something you should.
No, I just wanted to make sure it wasn't another house being built. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I see what's So I just want to make sure that you guys do understand that road that basically only serves lot 7, but is the emergency secondary access to the other 6 lots, that it does need to be maintained to the standards for the fire department to be able to access it, but it is your road. It will have to be maintained and plowed by you or whoever owns lot 7 or that subdivision.
It's actually going to be part of the homeowners association, and that's the conversation we had with staff prior.
Just wanted to make sure that was part of the record.
Understood.
I have, Director Gowdy, I have a question here. The gentleman keeps saying that that was previously approved, but in our notes says since it's been some time since it was tabled by the village board, and at the village board's April 8th meeting went back to the plan commission. Was this always in a tabled situation?
Yeah, when it came to the village board, it was able.
For the original amount of lots?
The original was approved.
Okay. Because, you know, even back then, I remember, because if this is an extension of Windsor Court, all the other lots are R3, and they want to come in at 3A, which is a good 5,000 square feet less. So, I mean, we're spot zoning here in the same type of subdivision, and it's all attached to all the other homes.
So it'll be phase 2 of Windsor Court, and we have subdivisions, different phases with different zoning. So it will be
clarification, just so I want to make sure that no one's confused. When this originally came through, it was more lot because they had the connection from Brentwood. There was a road that connected, and that's a reference to the previously approved site plan approval. And then the county came back and said, no, we're not going to allow that.
Like, we're ready to push dirt.
Right, so that was what we're talking about, what was previously approved. It was the 11 lots with a road a real road connecting back out. So that's what we're talking about, yeah.
That's where the developer's talking about now there won't be any houses backing up to those that are already on Windsor as it exists right now.
Like, that was approved by the board, but then we had to go back to the drawing board because of the denial.
And then we tabled it because of the access for the fire department.
Right.
Emergency access.
Yeah, I think you've done everything we've asked you to do here. You have, like I said, you have not changed those 6 lots to the southwest, and you found out a manageable way to make lot 7 work. Granted, it cost you a few lots, but you've made the fire department happy, and that was one of the conditions that, we really were stumbling upon, so.
And I think it's gonna look a lot better from Hadley Road, just as a intersection for the subdivision. I mean, it's, having the retention up there and,
Oh, you're right.
size house.
You're right, Trustee Gray, because 2 summers ago, whenever this was back, the residents in like 17, those lots back there, they were really upset that there was going to be so many original houses back there. So now if it's only limited to 1, that's much better.
And will you have signs on that at the south end of that temporary access so that those 6 lot owners know that that's not an exit way to Hadley?
Yes, we will. We'll have it on both,
Not
on the top.
Okay. So any of those 6 lots to the southwest will still access Hadley by taking Windsor Court, the new extension, as well as the existing Windsor Court to get out on Hadley.
Correct.
The only one who's allowed to use the temporary road that does run behind lots 16 through 22 is the lot 7 owner, but that's basically his driveway.
Correct.
I remember when you came to the planning commission originally with this concept, and as the case may be, you've had to jump through a lot of hoops that were really no fault of your own. And I think it's pretty acceptable at this point.
Are there any other comments? Madam Clerk, you want to call the roll?
Trustee Backel?
Aye.
Trustee Rogers? Trustee Suisse? Trustee Caprio? Trustee Pazmino? And Trustee Gray?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. All right, next. Is there a motion to approve ordinance number 20-027, an ordinance granting a variance to reduce the required front building setback from 80 feet to 10 feet, Chapter 220, Attachment 2, Table 2A of the Village of Homer Glen zoning ordinance. A special use permit to allow a swimming pool on the side yard, Section 220-807 of the Village of Homer Glen zoning ordinance. A variance to reduce the required side yard setback for a swimming pool from 20 feet to as little as 7. Section 220-812C-1, Chapter 220, Attachment 2, Table 2A of the Village of Homer Glen zoning ordinance. A variance to reduce the required side yard setback for a patio for 20 feet to as little as 3 feet. Chapter 220, Attachment 2, Table 2 of the Village of Homer Glen zoning ordinance for certain real property located at 13445 West 159th Street, Homer Glen, Illinois. Aqua Pools, case number HG2005SV.
I so move.
Trustee Caprio.
Second.
Trustee Rogers. Discussion.
The only question I really have, there was one there before.
You had 2 there before.
Okay. It is going to be filled with water.
Yes.
It is going to be, just really curious, how do we keep people out of it.
Well, it's actually fenced in, there's only actually access from the door on the west side of the store.
Yeah, that didn't come to me till just now, thinking, how are people not gonna go in this thing?
There's also going to be an auto cover on it, but it's a safety cover that people could walk on. So.
Yeah, okay.
And Mr. Eiler, it's only 3 feet deep, is that correct?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Mr. Eiler, will the auto cover be on it every night then? Like,
That's correct.
let's put it, okay.
Any other comments? You have a question?
I do, not 3 feet.
That's why I asked the question.
Carol, something else.
Not in 3 feet, but again, I would just like to say to Mr. Eiler, again, like I said last time, I think you're doing a great job on improving your property, and we look forward to seeing the total finished product with the landscaped islands and the painted back building and the new pool. It's going to look spectacular.
I hope so.
Any other comments? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Rogers? Aye. Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Caprio? Aye. Trustee Pazmino?
Aye.
Trustee Gray?
Aye.
Trustee Backus?
Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, is there a motion to approve ordinance number 20-028, an ordinance granting a variance to permit cement fiber stucco and James Hardy reveal panel system on the first floor of the dwelling in lieu of the exterior construction standards requiring that stone or brick material cover 100% of the aggregate total area of all first floor or story exterior walls, exclusive of doors, windows, and associated trim. 75-67A, applicability and scope, type of building or structure, or Chapter 75 buildings of the Code of the Village of Homer Glen for certain real property located at the A2 Rural Residential District at 16063 South Parker Road, Homer Glen, Illinois. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Trustee Pazmino?
Yes.
Trustee Caprio? Discussion.
Only, we cleared up everything that we had from the prior meeting. And we feel comfortable progressing with the project as it was. This was approved before I was on the board, I think, and I wasn't familiar with the construction design, and as long as everyone's okay with that, I'm happy and you should go.
Any other comments?
Well, as always, I do not do variances for stucco and party board.
Any other? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Suisse?
No.
Trustee Caprio?
Aye.
Trustee Pazmino?
Aye.
Trustee Gray?
Aye.
Trustee Backus?
Aye.
Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank
All set.
Thank you.
Okay, resolution number 20-008, authorizing the extension of the purchase and sale contract between the Village of Homer Glen and Dave and Pam Bengtson. Is there a motion to approve resolution number 20-008, a resolution authorizing the execution of a purchase and sale contract between the Village of Homer Glen and David and Pamela Bengtson for 15304 Bell Road, Homer Glen, Illinois?
I so move.
Trustee Suisse?
A second.
Trustee Caprio? Discussion.
Only that, just to, make a correction, 20-202. I think you said 008. Sorry.
20-008.
Oh, mine says 2. Unless I'm looking.
Look, there's two different, in the motion and then up on top, it's two different numbers.
I'm sorry, you're right. I'm sorry.
No,
Yeah.
they're both the same.
No, they're
No,
not.
they're not. You did fine.
Oh,
You
okay.
did fine, sorry.
I get a special paper.
You did fine.
Big. They're big.
Sorry.
All right. Discussion. Any?
Speak to the clerk.
Okay. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Caprio?
Aye.
Trustee Pazmino?
Aye.
Trustee Gray?
Aye.
Trustee Backel.
Aye.
Trustee Rogers.
Aye.
Trustee Suisse.
Aye.
Larry? Aye. Motion carries. Pam, Dave, sure.
Thank you.
Next, award of a multi-year, no, we table it, that's next. Is there any old business? Is there any new business? Next item is executive session. Is there a motion to go into executive session for purposes of discussing purchase or sale of real property? Item 1, LCS 120-2C5.
I so motion.
Second.
I'm sorry, who was it?
What we're going to do?
We're going to do it in here, so we'll ask everyone else to clear out.
Okay.
Take a quick recess.